Today on Forbes, how Valve founder Gabe Newell turned Half-Life into a nearly $10 billion fortune. Last October, around 20 employees and alumni of video gaming giant Valve gathered at the Lake House, a trendy restaurant in Bellevue, Washington, just outside of Seattle. The artists and coders trickled into the private event to celebrate a big milestone, the 25th anniversary of Half-Life, Valve's best-selling video game, which was released 2 years after Gabe Newell and his business partner Michael Harrington started the company in 1996. An overnight hit, Half-Life sold 2.5 million copies within 12 months, putting Valve firmly on the map. Even today, with multiple hit games like Portal and Dota 2, a fast-growing hardware division, and its digital sales platform Steam, making Valve one of the most consequential gaming companies in the world, Half-Life is still core to the company's identity. Harrington, who is now 60 years old, left Valve in 2000, a couple years after Half-Life was released. But he returned on this autumn evening, along with most of the original Half-Life team, to sip cocktails, taste farm-to-table starters, and swap war stories. However, there was one notable big no-show that night: Valve's 61-year-old co-founder and president, Gabe Newell. While Newell is still the company's leader, he's rarely at Valve's offices these days and hasn't attended an in-person company event in years. Since the pandemic, Newell has apparently been living at sea on one of his 5 ships. His collection is worth an estimated $500 million. Newell himself is worth an estimated $9.5 billion and owns an estimated 50.1% of Valve. Employees own the rest. The increasingly reclusive mogul hasn't given an interview since 2022 and declined to speak to Forbes for this story. He isn't on social media. He doesn't go to Davos or give TED Talks. His appearance at the 25th anniversary event was limited to a few brief cameos in an hour-long documentary on the company's history. Speaking to the camera, Newell says, quote, "I always have absolutely nothing interesting to say when people say, 'Would you reflect on your legacy?' I can look back at the things we did, but to me, they're just the stepping stones of what we're going to be able to do in the future. That's just how I'm wired." To gain insight into one of the most central players in the nearly $238 billion in worldwide 2023 revenue video game industry, Forbes poured through dozens of legal documents and spoke to former employees, video game industry experts, financial analysts, and legal experts. The result? A rare look into the finances of one of gaming's most secretive companies, and new information on how its secluded leader is spending not just his money, but his time. Valve did not provide or confirm financial figures. Recent legal filings, some of which were mistakenly unredacted, reveal 2 key facts about Valve. It has sustained a more than 40% operating profit margin for a decade, and it has often been more profitable per employee than some of the most valuable companies in the world, including Amazon, Alphabet, and Microsoft. Last year, Valve had its best year ever, booking an estimated $5 billion in revenues. That works out to about $14 million in sales per employee for its roughly 350 employees. Video game consoles like PlayStation from Sony, Xbox from Microsoft, and Switch from Nintendo have become so ubiquitous, it's easy to forget that gaming on a desktop computer or laptop is a massive and fast-growing business. Globally, around 1.9 billion people play games on their PCs, making up a nearly $50 billion in hardware and software sales industry. By 2030, the PC gaming market is expected to swell, reaching $68 billion. Most gamers no longer buy their games physically from a retail shop like GameStop. Indeed, many publishers only make their game available digitally. Players purchase them and download them online. And if they live in the US and play on a PC, they usually do that through Valve's game distribution platform, Steam, which has commanded an estimated 75% global market share for the last 19 years. Steam pockets a 30% cut of every sale, shrinking to 25% or 20% for games selling more than $10 million or $50 million, respectively. For full coverage, check out Stephen Pastice's piece on forbes.com. This is Kieran Meadows from Forbes. Thanks for tuning in.